Hi guys, welcome to lesson 2.9, percents. Our objectives for the day are that I can solve percent problems using proportions, I can solve percent problems using the percent equation, and that I can calculate simple interest. So we have no new vocabulary for today. Our essential understanding though is that you can solve problems involving percents using either proportions or the percent equation, which are closely related. If you write a percent as a fraction, you can use a proportion to solve the problem. So, what is this percent proportion, you say? Well, it is simply this. A over B is equal to P over 100, where A is the part, so we've got part over whole is equal to percent over 100. Now, the key thing to notice is the part could potentially be more than your base. It could be 120%, 200%, 500%. So we're going to look at it. So problem number one, or problem one is finding a percent using this proportion. And our question is, what is the percent of 30 that is 120? So that word of right there is your clue. This is a big clue. Pay attention to it. The word of tells us that whatever number is right after it is going to be in our denominator. So we have 30, we have 120 in our numerator, is equal to x, because we're saying what percent, that's our unknown, x over 100. So in order to solve this, we just need to multiply both sides of our equation by 100 using the multiplication property like we did yesterday. And we find that x is equal to 400%. So 120 is 400% of 30. Letter B, we have what percent of 90 is 54. Of 90, 54, and we want to know what percent. So that's x, that's our base, that's our part. So we have 54 over 90 is equal to x over 100. Again, we multiply both sides of the equation by 100 by the multiplication property, and we find that x is equal to 60%. Okay, I want you guys to try letters A and B, and then we're going to go over them. So in letter A, we're told what percent are unknown of 28, RB, is 21A. 21 over 28 is equal to x over 100. Do the math, and x is equal to 75%. 21 divided by 28 is 0.75 times 100 is 75%. Okay. And letter B, what percent, that's our unknown, of 30, our B, is 25A. 25 over 30 is equal to x over 100. When we do the math, 25 divided by 30 times 100, we get 83.33 repeating percent. Okay. Moving on, we have problem 2, which is dealing with the percent equation. All right, now you can represent A as a percent of B using the percent equation shown below. One of the key things to note on this is your percentage is written as a decimal. All right. So we're going to start. What percent of 50, that's our base again, is 10, A, x. So we're going to plug it in. Our A is our part. 10 is equal to Our percent, which we don't know, so we'll just leave that as x times our whole, which is 50. Divide both sides by 50. And x is equal to 0.2, which is 20%. So one key difference between the percent proportion and the percent equation. The percent proportion, what you get is already a percentage. With the percent equation, the answer that you get is going to be a decimal that you need to convert into a percentage. So you need to multiply it by 100. Personally, I use the proportion for that exact reason. All right, so what percent x of 84b is 63a? 63 is equal to x times b. Sorry, x times 84. Sure, that's an 8, not a b. Okay, divide both sides by 84. And we get 0.75 is equal to x, and that is 75%. Okay, I want you guys to try letters A and B and C, and then we will go over it. What percent x of 90b is 76.5? A. So we rewrite it. 76.5 equals x times 90. Divide both sides by 90. And x is equal to 0.85, which is 85%. Letter B, what percent x of 70b is 25? A. 25 equals x times 70. Divide both sides of the equation by 70. 25 divided by 70 is 0.343. That equals x, and that's the rounded number, so we're going to say 34.3%. Okay. Letter C, what percent of 83 is 23? So we have 23 is equal to x times 83. Divide both sides by 83. And you get 0.277 is equal to x, which is 27.7%. Okay. Now, out of these two approaches, personally, I would use the percent proportion, and that's mainly because I don't have to remember to change that percentage from a decimal to the percent and vice versa. It's already being left as a percent, so I can just leave it that way. That's my personal preference. Mrs. Urzo and I do not care what you use. All right, so letter A for finding a part. So now we know the base, we know the percent, we don't know the part, the smaller piece or the portion. So we're going to set up our proportion because that's the way I like to do it. We're going to do x over 45 because 45 is our base still. Remember, here's that word of. Of tells us it's our base. Of tells us it's our base. We want to know what is 45% of what is 15% of 45. So that equals 15 over 100. So now we're going to multiply both sides of our equation by 45. So 45 times 15 divided by 100. X is equal to 6.75. So 6.75 is 15% of 45. If we were to use the percent equation, no, we'll do that on the next one. All right, so next one. A family sells a car for 60% less than they paid for it. If they paid $9,000 for the car, what did they sell it for? Okay. So, this is a two-step problem. What you need to do, first we need to either find out they sold it for 60% less than they paid. So how much money did they actually get for the car? They actually got 40% of its price because it was 60% less. So we have 40% over 100 is equal to X over 9,000. And we multiply both sides of the equation by 9,000. And we divide by 100, and we find that X is equal to $3,600. Now wait a minute, Mr. Boland, you said it was 60% less. Well, yeah, you took away 60% of the price, so you're only having 40% left. Another way you could solve this problem would be solve it for 60% and then deduct that or take that away from our original price. What I personally like to do is I like to skip that step entirely and just go with what's left. Now I said we could do this as a percent equation, so we don't know what our part is, and it's equal to 0.6 times, or 0.4 we'll say, times 9,000. And you're going to get the same answer, 3,600. All right? But you just have to remember to make that percentage a decimal. All right. So, you guys try A and B. Again, make sure for letter B that you're looking to see that we're talking about a percentage off. So how much is the actual price going to be? It's going to be 75% of that original because we're taking away 25%. All right, so go ahead and try those and we'll go over them. So for letter B, letter A, we have 25% out of 100 is equal to X over 120. We multiply both sides of our equation by 120, and we find that X is equal to 30. Okay, so a sweater that normally costs $49.99 is on sale for 25% off. What is the sale price? Again, you could approach this two different ways. You could find out what is 25% of $49.99 and take away that discount from the price, subtract that discount, but that's a two-step problem, and I don't want to do two steps. I want to do this in one step. So if we're taking away 25% of the price, 75% of the price is still going to be there. All right, so we're going to do 75 over 100 is equal to X over $49.99. So X is equal to, multiply both sides by $49.99, 37.49. And that's a rounded number, dollars. Don't forget your units. So you could have, so what in the end, this price, the sweater costs $12.50 less because of the discount. $12.50 is 25% of $49.99. Okay. Problem 4, finding a base. So now we're given the percent and we're given the part, but we don't know what the base is. So again, I'm going to use the percent proportion, and we're going to have to do some cross multiplying to get there. All right, so we want to know 65% of what number, that's going to be our X, is 32. So 32 over X equals 65 over 100. So we cross multiply. Woo! So we get 65X equals 3,200. Divide both sides by 65. And we get that X is equal to 49.23. Letter B, 5% of what number is 70? We have 5 over 100 is equal to 70 over x. We multiply both sides by, or we cross multiply. And so we get 5x equals 7,000. Divide both sides by 5, and x is equal to 1,400. 1,400. Okay? I want you guys to try A, B, and C, and we will go over them. All right, so letter A says 30% of what number is 12.5. So again, we start off, we have 30% over 100 is equal to 12.5 over x. Cross multiply, we get x, 30x is equal to 1250. Divide both sides by 30, and x is going to be equal to 41.67 when we round it. Letter B, 77% of what number is 77? So we have 77 over 100 is equal to 77 over x. Cross multiply. 77x is equal to 7,700. Divide both sides by 77, and x equals 100. Kind of obvious from the beginning. Letter C, 120% of what number is 65? So we start off, we've got 120 over 100 equals 65 over x. Cross multiply. We've got 120x is equal to 6,500. Divide both sides by 120. X is equal to 54.17. Okay. Moving on to our final step, or our final problem, we have finding a simple interest, or using the simple interest formula. So the simple interest formula basically says your interest, the amount that the bank pays you, is equal to the principal, P, which is what we put in, the original deposit, times the rate, which is written as a decimal, times the amount of time that the money is sitting there. So let's take a look at a problem. We have you deposited $150 into a savings account that earns simple interest at a rate of 5.5% per year. How much interest will you earn after 4 years? Once again, make sure you pay attention to what the question's asking. We're told interest per year. We want to know after a number of years. Always be sure to check those two pieces of information. So we start off with our formula. I is equal to PRT. We want to know our interest is equal to our principal, our deposit, which is $150, times our rate written as a decimal. So 5.5 as a decimal is 0.055. We divided by 100, so we moved our decimal point over 2 times. And we are multiplying that by 4 years that we are doing this problem for. So you go ahead and type those into your calculator. 150 times 0.055 times 4, and you find that your interest on that $150 after 4 years is $33. I will tell you right now that the savings account that you open at the bank, you are not going to get 5.5% interest. You will most likely be getting 0.01% interest. So, all right. Letter B, we have you deposited $125 into a savings account, and it earns simple interest at a rate of 1.75% per year. and you earned a total of $8.75 in interest. How long was your money in the account? So now we don't know our time. That's what we're trying to find. So our interest, again, we'll just start with our equation. I equals PRT, where our interest is $8.75 is equal to our principal, $125, times our rate, $0.0175, times time, and we don't know what time is. So the first step we need to do is multiply 125 and 0.0175. So we get 8.75 equals 2.1875 t. And now we're going to divide both sides of the equation by 2.1875. And t is going to be equal to 4 years, because we were told we were getting interest per year. Okay. Letter C, you deposit $650 into a savings account that earns a simple interest rate of 5% per year, and you keep the money in your account for 5 years. How much interest will you earn? Interest is equal to principal times rate times time. Our principal is $650 times our rate of 0.05 times our time, which is 5 years. So our interest is $162.5. $162.05. And why don't we just add a problem on the bottom here? Using this exact same setup, that our interest is equal to $650 times, we're going to change our rate to what I said is the current rates in most savings accounts, which is 0.01%. So that'll be 0.0001 times the same 5 years. And when we multiply that out, we get your interest is 0.325 or 32.5 cents. Quite a big difference. Savings accounts right now are not making much money, but they're safe and they're insured. And you'll learn about the FDIC somewhere around, I don't know, March in social studies. All right, that's the end of our lesson for today. Make sure you rate your level of understanding 1 to 4. Write your summary, and be sure to write down any questions you may have come up with while I was talking. All right, see you guys in class. Have a great night.